Welcome to Nerds with a Creative Podcast. We're your hosts, Charlie and
Dalton.
We're on episode 3 here.
Episode 3, yes, sir.
And we have a special guest, Dalton.
We do. Who is our special guest? Introduce yourself.
What up? What up? My name's Eli Pixler. I'm the owner of 777 Company, which is a clothing brand. And then I, as of 4 hours ago, I now work for Dalton.
At the time of recording.
At the time of recording, I work for Dalton as the short, I guess you could say short content, like the creation of short content and reels and TikToks. And then I do a little bit of photography on the side. And yeah, it's a little bit about me. And then basically, I love to do anything creative and in ministry. So
nice. Do you dance? Do you sing?
Absolutely not. I took a
juggle.
Absolutely not. I had to take a dance class in college, and passed with
didn't go well.
Passed with a 70. But
wow, that feels like a participatory class too.
Yes,
so to pass with a 70.
Yes.
Bless.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, yeah, Eli, he pretty much he's been interning with the company on and off for about a year now, just PAing on shoots, learning, doing some behind the scenes, that type of thing. But I was like, you know what? I hate TikTok. I hate it.
We share that.
I specifically hate short form content.
Yeah.
But in order to succeed in this market, you need short form content. And I was like, who knows more about short form content than anyone that I know? Eli. Plus, he already kind of works for me, so why not just onboard him officially?
Yes.
And
take the photo. Put him on.
Put him on the website.
Media.
Get a roll. So I was like, all right, let's do it.
That's how you know you're official.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know what? He's going to be a solid dude to have on the podcast overall. Just, first guest. Couldn't think of anybody better for that position.
There will never be another first guest
True.
on Nerds with a Creative Podcast.
I'm very honored.
Yeah, you should be. Your medal's in the mail. Don't worry.
Amen. Hallelujah.
All right, so Eli, breaks down a little bit what you do, what your company does, what you do for us, and the things that you've done for us as a whole. Let the people get to know you a little bit.
Okay. So I'll take y'all, I'll tell a little bit about my story. So I'll take y'all back to when I first, started, I guess, the whole, entrepreneurship kind of thing. I was 16 and started working at a beautiful organization called Chick-fil-A.
Woo! Been there.
Charlie knows a little bit about that, just a tad.
Yeah,
and so,
been there, done that.
What you come to find out once you work at Chick-fil-A is you hate it, and it's not like what it was when you were ordering food there. It's actually trash. And so, as a kid making $8.25 an hour, I said, I'm broke. And at the time, I had a girlfriend, and so what I figured out was if I went to these Goodwills and I flipped these old vintage t-shirts and shoes and cleaned them up, I could make about as much money as I was at Chick-fil-A. I didn't have to go into work. And I was like, this is the move. So literally, right after prom, I went in, I quit my job, and I just started flipping stuff at Goodwill. Well, the problem was COVID hit. And then I couldn't do anything as far as thrifting or anything of that sort. And so that kind of just knocked out my bank account tremendously. I remember before I started 777 Company, I think I was down to $12 in my bank account. So I was broke. So to say the least. And so I went to work last year at my grandparents' machine shop, and I started just sweeping floors and doing stuff like that to get a little bit of money up. And long story short, got out of a relationship, and then during that summer, I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I said, well, what can I do this summer just to be productive and learn some new stuff? And so I pirated Adobe Photoshop off the internet.
My client does not claim legal responsibility for anything he says on this podcast.
Sorry, we'll edit this. I borrowed from a friend. Adobe Photoshop, and started just learning Adobe Photoshop every night after I went back to my house after I got done with work. And so I did that for about 3 months, and I came up with this idea. I was like, 777 Company. And I launched my first hoodie in October, and it sold a grand total of 4 hoodies. I was popping for real.
That's 4 more hoodies than I've ever sold in my life. So
I made a whopping total of $50. I was actually him. And so,
Over twice what you had in your bank account.
facts. I was going up. And so honestly, at that point, my Photoshop skills were trash. My content was trash. In fact, everything I did in my company was terrible, and it was really cringe. And so I was honestly at the point of quitting. Like, I actually was just like, this isn't for me. I'm just gonna go into ministry and I'm just gonna quit. Well, I ended up designing these like custom Air Force Ones, and I literally said, if these don't blow up, I said, I'm done. Dead serious. I said, I'm done. I quit because I'm not good at this. I said, I'll let Dalton and people like this do it. I said, I just don't have any confidence. And so I posted them, and lo and behold, I wake up the next morning, and I think the most likes I ever had on a post was like 45 before that. I wake up and it has like 197.
There it
and there's
is.
like 80 comments like, drop this right now. And I was like, wow, that's cool.
That's awesome.
And so I was on TikTok, and I was like, what if I just posted a video of these forces? I'm dead serious. My first video, still the most viewed video I have. My first video ever. It literally said, would you cop these? And you can go look at it right now. It's pinned. And it's literally just the Air Forces. And got like 45,000 views. And then like it kind of went from there. And so I dropped the Air Forces. I know it's a super long story. February, I dropped them. The rest right now, dropped a hoodie a month later. And now it's about August. And so doing the most consistent sales I've done in a while. And so just like, that's kind of how I came into the like creative business. Also, Dalton was like a really big inspiration of mine, because me and Dalton, I remember the first time I ever met Dalton, it was like one of my like JV basketball games as a kid. And for some reason,
As a kid, like 2 years ago.
and I knew like Dalton was into CHH, and somebody told me he shot for like Lecrae, and I like totally fanboyed, to be 100% honest.
Yes.
And so I hit up Dalton. I was like, bro, you shot for Lecrae? And so our whole 6 month like first relationship was just me and Dalton. Dalton calling me, telling me something that was super cool, and I was like, wow, I was like, this is amazing. And so eventually he took me to a show. What was it? What was that show? It was
Invasion Tour.
There-
It was
yes.
Miles Minnick, Stephen Malcolm. Yeah, it was
yeah,
wild.
and Dalton took me to that show, and I met a bunch of them, and I think that's kind of like when our friendship like actually like started to like
Blossom.
yeah.
That was like the thing too, because like I've always worked around and been a huge fan of Christian rap, and the only other friend in my everyday life that I had that really was into that was you. But you were into like 2015 and back.
Well,
like,
you were like, it's funny because I'm gonna assume that you still believe this is true, because at one point you credited me with getting you into like Reach and that side of the CHH
You were
game.
one of the ones that made me interested in it, because you would always wear their shirts. And
Yeah, I
was
had
like,
the
what is
116 polo.
I was like, what is he wearing?
And like, it's funny because I was getting you into it right when I was starting to like, it was my go-to. It wasn't like I was like consciously rejecting anything. It was just like my musical taste was going in other directions.
Yeah, which is kind of wild.
It was an amicable split. And then it slowly re-entered at different phases.
And so you were like the only person I really had to talk to about this stuff. I had no friends that like understood anything about it, and so I was just like, bro. And then he I would say something about some no-name artist that no one heard of. I was like, you should check this person out, and he'd be like, dude, I've been listening to this person for like 2 years. I was like,
wait, you been?
I was like, I have a friend now that understands what brings me joy.
And that almost killed me and Dalton's friendship. No, that's not true. That's not true at all.
But no, we would just call on the phone and like talk about just Christian rap for like hours. And I was like, Doug, just come to a show, hang out with us. And like I think you thought it was a lot bigger of a deal than it was. And then we got there, and then it was just like, oh, bro, this is just kind of lame.
I actually thought I was him for a minute. I was like, I came in and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally this guy now. And then you realize like CHH isn't what it's hyped up to be, and you have that realization where it's like it's a very small industry, and so no matter how big you are, there's like max like 1,000 people at your shows. Like, man, I'm sorry. I mean, I love Christian rap, but it's just the cold hard truth.
Yeah.
And so, but no, me and Dalton Dalton really inspired me, because like y'all don't know, I like the first time I ever met Dalton besides the JV game, like I booked him for a shoot for my high school prom, and he shot for me. And I remember this man.
I forgot about
I have
that.
seen this man come up. I remember seeing Dalton in a orange What car was it, bro?
The hat.
Yeah.
Yes. He pulled up in
It's
the orange
Celeste's car.
hatch, bro. Yes.
Well, it was
Yes.
Celeste's car.
Yeah.
What?
It got totaled, didn't it?
No. I sold it to her mom so that her mom could use it. And then when she totaled the blue car,
I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, no, she drives it everywhere.
All right. Well, RIP either way. It's not yours.
Yeah, that's true.
It's out of the family.
Yeah, no. So it's her car now. It's Celeste's car.
And I see this man pull up in this this orange car, and I pay him like $80 for a prom shoot, and Dalton really appreciated, was really thankful, and that was in 2019, and it was where he wasn't making that much money. I didn't think, and then I just saw him steadily grow, which was insane. I think that's one of the coolest things, watching Dalton grow, because I saw him in 2019, started doing prom photos, and a year later he calls me, and now a month ago he's like, hey, do you want to go to Nashville with me? I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh yeah, I'm shooting for No Big Deal and Tori Deshawn. I'm shooting their music video, and I was like, what? that was not possible 2 years ago. So Dalton's really came a long way. So Dalton honestly is probably my main inspiration for doing 80% of my entrepreneurial stuff, because he showed me you can do it, and you don't have to have a 9 to 5 basically, because that's what I was taught as a kid. So,
well, you're a great fit for the podcast because you saw Dalton grow career rise, and I literally saw him go through puberty. So I also saw him grow. Yeah.
Well, I think a part of why that happened too is because I came from small-ish town where there weren't really a lot of creatives. My only other creative friend in this town was you.
Right.
And you kind of were in and out here and there. And so knowing where you came from.
No,
yeah.
Guys, I'll tell you this. I am from the small town of Tallapoosa, Georgia, and the best thing that we have every year.
That is a small town.
Look it up. The best thing we have every year, it makes the news. It's called the Possum Drop. Now let me explain what this is.
Yes.
In my hometown, they drop a live possum every year on New Year's Eve to celebrate the possum drop, and the possum dies. And that's how we celebrate. Yes, bro. No, I'm not. Bro, look it up. I'm not kidding.
No, it's the Harrelson
story.
It's the Harrelson County
right
Possum
now,
Drop.
right now.
We got a computer right here.
Possum drop. Also,
Can I just YouTube it or just Google it?
Just look up possum drop, and it'll show up. They claim it's a stuffed possum. That's straight cap. It's because Peter or whatever.
Possum drop New Year's Eve celebration. In Tallapoosa, Georgia, there's a web music and food.
Yes, bro, it's so lit.
Dog, we trying to go to the possum drop this year?
Heck? Absolutely. About the possum drop. The Crazy Rumors with the blows the actual history and a little background information on the possum drop. We do not use, and we have never used a live possum. So you're saying that's cap?
Bro, I'm telling you guys right now, as a Tallapoosa native.
They use
Let me tell you something. I know people in Tallapoosa, Georgia, and that is straight cap. There is no way Uncle Ron John didn't tie up some old possum and drop that junk 10 years ago, bro.
Well,
Uncle Ron John doesn't give a rip about a possum.
This immediately became the best episode of the podcast. This is the new standard. Uncle Ron. So PETA came after them, basically. Is what you're telling me, and they were it's a stuffed animal.
Yes, and now, bro, yes.
How high do they drop it from?
So
I like to think they just take it by the tail and sling it.
And just let it fall.
They just let it rip. They take that thing. And
All right, Billy, you got to get the timing just right. It's got to fall right at midnight.
Yeah, if you drop that thing at 11:55. 52, it'll hit the ground right around 12:0003.
Oh my gosh. No, but yeah, PETA basically just came after them. But yeah, so that's the town I'm from, and so as you can tell, we're not the most creative town when it comes to
you
technology.
Guys, it's like if there was a town in Georgia that I would say best embodies the vibe of Alabama as a whole. The stereotype that people believe Alabama to be, even if it's not that, Tallapoosa is the stereotype of Alabama in a city.
Fun fact, when I was at a church event in middle school, a couple broke up, and I went up and asked them why. And their response was not because they didn't love each other, because they found out they were related. They were cousins.
Oh my gosh.
So
incredible.
The town I'm from is actually literally the most redneck yeehaw.
Yeah.
Can I
vibe.
tell you, you've unlocked something. This is an aside, so this might get edited out later. Okay, but that is one of my biggest irrational fears. Is I'll date someone and find out they're my cousin, and it's completely possible because I have an uncle that I've never met. Never once have I
Really?
ever met him, and so I'm like, he's got daughters or even granddaughters because he might just be that old, and like I'm gonna get engaged to some girl and find out that she's my cousin. That's one of my biggest irrational fears.
It's all right. It's all right.
No, so
Bro,
yeah.
there's states you can move for that.
Not my concern. I could do it in this state.
That's true. That's a whole nother thing for a whole nother.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Anyway,
How many states is it legal for you to marry a first cousin?
it's more than you would think.
It's like 36 or something, right?
Wait, are you serious?
I think that's a thing.
Bro, whoa.
Yeah,
whoa.
factor cap, but
No way.
I'm really I'm not happy. This is part of my Google search history now. It's how many states can you
24?
Yeah,
That's
24
half
states
the United
prohibit
States.
it.
Okay.
So no,
wait!
you're right. You're absolutely
So
no.
it was 36.
No, it's
Wait, no.
26.
It's 26.
Do some math there, buddy.
It's okay. It's okay.
I
It's
told
okay.
you your education ended early.
It's okay. Dalton hasn't done schoolwork since 10th grade. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's okay.
Hang on. This is. Why are we talking about this? Yeah. So I'm guessing in the green is when you can do it in New York. That's crazy. Texas, California.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, California's like
California
that.
makes sense.
California's so like
Yeah, but they're also like
Bro,
got
California-
sticks up their butts.
California is the place where if any law, like if you were to tell me some ridiculous law existed about like that you can't drink like lemonade on a Saturday, I would be like,
This is in California.
there's no way that's a thing. And then if you're like in California, I'd be like, oh yeah.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. That's a couple of minutes of this podcast dedicated to marrying your cousin.
What a rabbit trail.
Yeah,
What
for
a
sure.
beautiful.
So back to why I like attempted to mentor this kid.
Attempted.
derailing from the old cousin thing. I came from a small town. I didn't have a lot of creative inspirations in the town. Really, one, maybe two, in the entirety of the town. And so I know if it's like that, being in a town that's 25 minutes from Atlanta, it must be pretty rough in Tallapoosa.
To say the least.
Because in Tallapoosa, the closest things that you have is like Alabama. And then in like an hour and 20 minutes of a drive, maybe Atlanta. But like, it doesn't reach that far. Like,
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Gotta help this guy out a little bit. I was like, I loved your work ethic about how you would just make anything happen. Like, you would make it happen. Like, you wouldn't wait around. It was like I'll do this doing it myself. And I was like, all right, cool.
I appreciate
Sick.
that.
Like,
I appreciate that.
If your circle of friends is not talking about taking over the world, get some new friends.
On God.
Basically.
On God.
Interesting.
If they're talking about fishing, sports, nah, get them out of there.
That's what we call a hot take. This
I
does
think-
not
I
necessarily
don't-
reflect the views of
Okay,
of
hold up.
nerds of-
Okay, I'm gonna say this. I don't think that talking about sports or extracurricular things is wrong. I'm just saying that I think in life it's important to have people, especially close friends or people who are like beside you, that if they're not lifting you up and challenging you as a human being to be a better person of yourself and to push you towards your goals and dreams, then you don't need them in your life. I would agree with that.
That's like it's also about balancing your time.
Facts.
So like you can absolutely have your friends that all they talk about is sports and girls they dated in high school and things that ultimately don't have a whole lot of matter. It's fine to have those friends, because you grew up with them. But you started to see a shift when you spend more time around those friends than you spend with your creative friends or your uplifting friends or encouraging friends. It's okay to have a few, yes man friends who are like, dude, this is awesome, even if you show them something that's terrible. But it's when you start to rely on their opinions and they're the ones that you spend the most time with, that's when you need to be like, all right, it like I said, cool to hang out. You just have to balance the time with them. Because I have friends that we don't talk about meaningful things. We just do dumb stuff and talk about dumb stuff. Yeah. But they're not the ones that I spend 50+% of my time with. The ones that, I'll hang out with them for an hour a week. But like, it's not you where we hang out for like 8 hours a day, like a couple times a week. Because, you know, that's the balancer out. Because we're constantly talking about world domination and things of that nature.
Are we, though? Are we talking about world domination?
Slow steps to world domination through the world of
I feel like I'm just trying to temper your quote-unquote world domination. Dalton, you can't actually instill capital punishment, okay? That's not okay. That sort of thing. Not holding him back creatively.
That's
for
funny.
clarification.
That's funny.
But yeah, no. So I was like, you know what? I need friends like that. Friends that aren't just gonna sit around and talk about nothing. And you were one of those friends. And I was like, if I need these friends, then he needs these friends too.
Yeah.
Mutual benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
and like we were talking about in the
Economics.
car, like we were talking about in the car earlier, we can do business together, but at the same time, if there was no business in common, we would still be friends.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And those are the kind of
Yeah.
friendships that you need to be having.
Yeah. Also, like, a nugget of advice to people who are...
Nuggets. Oh, I'm hungry. Sorry. Continue.
But, just like a nugget of advice for people who are trying to get in the creative industry or something, like I was as a kid, it's just, like, be genuine about why you're there. Don't go to these events and don't go to these people for clout and just you're there just to level up in your business. Be a legitimate person. So, you know, I was not friends with Dalton because I wanted to be hired on Nerd with Camera Corporations, to be honest. It just came because of me and Dalton's friendship and my loyalty and being kind to Dalton. So if you're not in your industry with genuine intentions, you're not going to get genuine results.
Yeah.
So that would just be my advice to people like who are just trying to get in like the industry and stuff. I don't know. I just kind of feel like I need to say that because there's a lot of people that like definitely just try to be friends with someone just to reach another level.
It's funny because I was listening to this podcast for creators of a show I really, really love. And they were talking about like what networking kind of means. And they were like, I think people look at it wrong because it's not about like who you have to know. It's like who you get to know.
Yeah.
You know, like we're genuinely making connections with these people, not just to like boost ourselves, but like because it's cool to like connect with people and to like know others in your industry, out of your industry, how you can collaborate or just hang out and talk. So I think that kind of ties into what you were saying.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, don't just be there for clout.
Yeah, and we all know people like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah.
And I think too, like if I'm at some networking event and someone just came up to me and like say it's down the road, multiple successful businesses, I'm just known as a dude that has a lot of money. If somebody walked up to me and just says, yo, I want to connect with you because I know you have a lot of money and I also want to make a lot of money. I would have 10 times more respect for them for doing that than I would if they just walked to me like, hey man, we should be friends. Yeah, like,
interesting.
When you try, if you're just blunt with me, cool. Like, there are some people that I'll just walk up to them and I'll just be like, yo, I want to make a video for you. Like, you got a fan base. I want to make a video. We can mutually benefit here, and it can also help our careers. Boom. And, like, you get so much more respect doing that than you do, like, pretending to care.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying don't care about them as a person, but don't pretend to be something you're not in order just to gain something.
Yeah.
So, you know, like you're saying, be genuine, be upfront, because you'll get a whole lot more out of that than trying to beat around the bush. And you'll hurt them less, you'll hurt yourself less, and you'll save a lot of time if you're just, boom, here's why I'm here. We're all, at least, I would call myself a connoisseur of music.
I would not call myself.
I would very well.
I would call Eli a connoisseur of music.
I second that.
I'm going to be the ignorant one in this conversation.
All right, so. Best artist of all time.
Oh my gosh. All right.
This is a new segment we call Hot Takes.
Here we go. Hot takes in music. The best artist of all time. Now, when I say this,
If you guys say anything other than the Wiggles, you're wrong.
So, I don't know if you guys know, but there was this guy, he kind of blew up, and his name's Lil Pump. No, I'm just playing. Actually, the best artist of all time was Michael Jackson, and I just have multiple facts to back up that.
Okay.
Undebatably, I think I wouldn't say undebatably. Debatably, he's the best artist of all time. I think it's between Michael Jackson, the Beatles, and Elvis Presley right now. The greatest artist of all time.
So you have been in clothing for a while. You've been in that brand for a while, but now you're kind of stepping into more of a creative, like photo video area. Why don't you like kind of break us down a little bit of where that's going and where that came from?
Okay, so I think my first real passion was graphic design. So I'm really big into graphic design. I love making graphics for churches and just businesses and stuff like that in general. And so the photography and videography really came from like inspiration of just like, I think like mainly watching music videos, to be honest. I think that's like where it came from. And then like watching you do it, and then just randomly scrolling on like Instagram and TikTok throughout the day, just seeing photography and videography. I was like, that's cool. I wonder if I could do that. And so the more I started to do it and the more I started to practice, it's gotten like, my first couple shoots were incredibly terrible, but I've gotten decently better now. I'm not the best at it, but it's just, I think it came from just a passion to create. I love to create things. I've figured that out, and I just love to like create an aesthetic or a feeling within a certain image. That's what I love to do, if that makes sense. And so any way I can do that through photography or videography, I'm 100% down. So
I would actually contradict that, and I would say that you are the best. In fact, I would say you potentially are Walt Disney.
oh yeah, bro. Yes. In the flesh. In the flesh.
I showed him that clip for the first time the other day because I quoted it.
It was pretty amazing.
And he looked at me like I was like an idiot, and I was like, I have to show you this right now.
Yes.
Walt Disney. But anyway, dude, you've grown insanely doing that stuff since I first saw it. Cause like what camera you're using, like the A6000 right now?
I am.
What did you have before that,
bro? Oh my gosh. Okay. So I started out with my mom's Canon. I don't even remember what Canon it is, but it was bad.
I remember it was like built-in flash, like
yes,
like power shot tier Canon.
Yes. It was
crazy.
horrible, and that's how I like first started. You know what? I'm gonna add the first graphic design image and the first photography image I did like during this talking thing when I'm editing it. So you'll see it like right here. And I'll show you it. It's
boom.
It's terrible. Right there. It's horrible, as you can see.
But yeah, no, I think it's just kind of cool to see you grow and see you work on this stuff.
This is not your time, Chewy. This is not your time.
Chewy's gone.
But no, it's been really cool to see you just grow and do different things like that.
I appreciate it.
One thing I will say,
You guys gotta start making out here. Now I need to leave the room. You guys are like, you've grown so much, and I've seen you like become so good at this. Gross.
I know, facts.
Go watch a possum die.
I'll go watch a possum drop.
Yes.
But not the other thing that I respect about your like creative stuff though is the fact that like no matter how ridiculous of an idea I throw at you, you're just like, yeah, let's do it. Like,
yeah, that is true.
When it comes to an absolute worst case scenario, I'm like, I'm gonna throw this at Eli, and he'll probably make it work. Like, you on like a day's notice went to, what was it, Talladega for like 2 days, and we shot in like 17-degree weather.
Dude, all right, I'm gonna be 100% honest on the podcast, just being 100% transparent, Dalton. Like that night, I actually like low-key wanted to like die, bro.
Yeah, I did too.
So, dude, like it was.
Yeah.
Let me explain this story, okay? Me and Dalton calls me up literally the day before, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go shoot for this guy?" And I'm like, "What's his name?" He's like, "His name's Shep." I'm like, "I've never heard of him a day in my life, but cool." So, I'm gonna be honest. Once Dalton said we're going to Talladega and raiding at this place called the Shack, I'm letting you guys know right now on this podcast. If you're ever in Talladega, Alabama, look up the Shack. It is the best barbecue you've ever eaten in your entire life, and I'll stand by that.
The building is made out of railroad ties.
I thought you were gonna say the building was made out of meat. It is literally designed to be barbecue.
Oh,
dude, no. So the building's made out of like railroad ties, and like no matter what you order, you walk in that door, you order it, they will turn around with the plate in their hand in like 20 seconds.
No, seriously.
You'll be like, yeah, let me get a Shack. Boom.
Beautiful.
Like, oh, cool. Thanks. Wow, that was fast. Incredible place.
Thanks.
Yeah, in fact, they were trying behind the scenes here. They were trying to get us to shoot in a different city that was like 30 minutes away, and I was like, "Why don't we just meet up in Talladega first? You know, because we could start." And sorry, Shep, if you're watching this. I strictly made the meeting there because I wanted to go to the Shack for dinner.
Hey, man. Nothing wrong with that.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But we shot that video, and it was fun. It was fun for a while, and then it started getting cold.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that video.
It got colder and colder.
I remember you guys talking about that.
The last hour of that shoot, I actually like guys, I promise you I've worked for this position because I was on my knees for an hour with a smoke machine. Actually, no, not even a smoke machine. Let me clarify.
Yes.
Dalton rigged up this bug spray thing, and he put smoke in it. So for an hour,
propane tank thing.
I'm on my knees, literally spraying propane behind his Mustang, and he's like on top of the car. Now, granted, it was a fire shot, so I can't complain.
Yeah,
but
no. It wasn't even behind the Mustang. It was beside Shep's car. He had it like pulled up to the light post to look like he had crashed it, and Eli's like crouching down, like spraying the fog out in front of the engine, so it looks like the car's on fire.
It's
fire shot.
I guarantee you, it was 10 degrees. I guarantee you.
It was specifically 17.
Yeah, but when he's on that concrete might have been 10 degrees.
That's facts,
dude. And so,
and we're just in this man's neighborhood until like 1 a.m. or something like that. It was crazy. It turned out fire, like worth it. It was worth it.
I think we might have mentioned on the first one that like we said a big badge of video honor was staying up all night to edit a project. That's also another big badge of honor, is staying up late in the cold, like in the freezing weather to get a shoot done. That's another like badge of creative honor.
If you do that, kudos to you. You deserve all the glory.
You did it.
No, Dalton recorded.
If you're there to suffer, you get the badge, okay?
You held that shoot together, hands down.
Bro, dude, that shoot was wild. And then the best thing, though, was... So, here's the thing, I'll tell you this. Dalton always does this. He will tell me some, like, late night thing we're going to do, and I'm always like, well, I have class, because I go to college, and I have class the next day. And Dalton's like, oh, yeah, we'll make it back. And I know every single time now, I know dang well...
You ain't making it back.
I'm not making class.
And okay, let me preface this. I would say about 50% of the time on my end, we're to a point that we make it back, or I at least try and be mindful of that. Like, and I'm like, oh,
don't you relent just because he goes against you.
No, I'm about to explain. And so I'll be like, well, you know, we can leave now and go back. But usually it gets to a point where he's just like, I don't want to go at this point, and so he'll just.
So he really is like me then.
So there'll be like there was a night I told him to come over. I was like, dude, we'll work on this thing, but I was like, you know, because you have class, we'll cut it at midnight. You go to sleep, go to class the next morning. Got to midnight. I was like, all right, you know, bedtime. He's like, no, I'm just not going.
That sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, no, because like at that point you're so invested in that project, and you need like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. Even if I go to class, I'm not learning a single thing in that class. I am zoned out. I'm in the back, like literally asleep. So the only reason I would go is just to not FA. That's the only reason I go to that class. But no, it's like every time Dalton will be like, and it always hits me at like the past midnight 12:30 to 1 range. I'm just like, no, I'm done. There's no, we're staying here. I'm not moving. I'm going to bed. It's over.
We had this whole elaborate plan on the Talladega shoot too. I was like, we're leaving the house at 6:30. We're driving back to Tallapoosa. You'll get in your car, go to class, and we got back that night at like.
I think it was 3.
Hey, we got back at like 3, and I was like, we still got this. And I thought he was like, yeah, probably. My alarm goes off at 6, and the memory that I have is it ringing, and I sit up, and I just hear him go, no. I was like, cool.
Fair.
Like, cool.
Yep.
Like, I intended to get you back for class, but when I woke up and I just heard, nope. I was like, yep, okay, we're good.
There's no way I was going back to that class, man. It was also like, oh my gosh, it was like Intro to Old Testament.
Oh,
I'm not driving an hour and a half to go to Intro to Old Testament to learn about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which I learned in VBS 100 times as a kid.
And VeggieTales.
Amen.
And VeggieTales.
Hallelujah.
Rack Shack and Benny.
I'll eat the bunny.
If you didn't watch VeggieTales as a kid, I question your salvation, and I'm not kidding. Also, fun fact: did you know Philippians 4:13 was put in the Bible specifically for the 2008 Florida Gators and Tim Tebow to wear on his wrist? I didn't know if you guys knew that. I figured that out the other day.
That's incredible.
I thought you were actually about to like put forth like a theological challenge. I was like, "Are we doing this? Are we doing this right now?" And then you kept going. I was like, "Oh no, I can't.
Yeah.
How could I question that? Absolutely."
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no. So, we're on the whole thing of creative stuff. So you kind of did some work with us for a while.
Yeah.
Where do you want that creative business to go? Like, what's your intentions?
Yeah.
where do you want that to go? Where do you want that to grow?
What are your intentions with our business?
Yeah.
sir?
So basically, my plan is to scam. No, I'm just playing. For real. So my plan is right now, owning the clothing business and then owning the creative business and working for Dalton. My plan, ideally in the next 5 years, would be to get my clothing brand and a creative to the point where I can really become in a management position rather than every day I'm waking up and grinding, making content. To put myself in a management position so I can really focus on the ministry part, because I know God called me to ministry, and so that's something I'm very big on. One of the things I'm starting this semester in Rome is something called God Loves Rome, and what this is essentially is it's a community event for Barry, Shorter, which are both of the universities in my city, and then all the college ministries to come together and have a community event every other week. And so I'm very big on ministry as well, and so ideally just to be more of a management position long term and to own the creative and the company and let those two, in a sense, work for themselves. They don't always work for themselves, but, I'm not, like, it's not like an everyday thing like we are right now. Like, we're waking up and we are, like, grinding every day for content. So that's the ideal point. But I think you just got to enjoy the journey, Like, we're on a journey right now, all three of us, Like, Dalton's definitely more successful than I am right now. I mean, he's been doing it for, like, almost a decade, though, and he's only 20, so that's insane. But you just gotta enjoy life, Every day I wake up, and I think at the end of the day, when you're feeling ungrateful, I know that when I wake up, I don't have to go to 9 to 5, and I realize that Jesus has just blessed me with so much that I get to wake up and do what I love. And at the end of the day, if I don't make any money and I do what I love, that's what happens.
Bars.
And so I think both these guys can relate to that if you do what you love, I think that's the real meaning in life and to impact others. So,
like,
well said.
There are days. And I'm sure Charlie can attest to this because me and Charlie have this system, since I do own the company he works for. When I'm broke, he's broke. When he's broke, I'm broke.
Yeah.
It's a nice little trade-off.
I never have to ask Dalton what his financial situation looks like. Like I'm well aware.
And so, yeah, there are days I wake up and there's $8 in my bank account, and I'm like, well, there are days that I'm like, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have kept a job. But then there are days I realize if I was at the job, I would be beating my head up against the wall just waiting to leave. Here, I may be broke, but at least I'm always wanting to do what I'm doing. Even you could give me... You can attest to this. Even if we are editing funeral videos, something that we have done before,
and yet have still never completed after all these years.
The funeral edit's going crazy,
bro. That is a thing. There was literally a day I was sitting there editing a funeral video for that other one that I did.
Right.
And I sit there edit this funeral. And I'm like, what have I done to get me in life to where I'm editing a funeral video? Like this is I was like, this is a funeral. But then I stopped and I was like, I could be having to wake up at 7:00 in the morning. And
I don't remember. Did I say? I don't know if I said this on the other podcast or not, but I've said it multiple times to you, and you'll recall. Is after I left working at Chick-fil-A, I said to you, dude, I forgot you could have fun more than one day in a row.
Facts.
I forgot you could do it 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
POV my mom.
But yeah, no. So there are days that, and this as encouragement to you, there are days there are $8 in your bank account and you're like, why am I doing this? This is a mistake. There are days, transparency, there are days that I'm like, should I just go get a job? Like, should I, even though I have this, like, what looks on the outside as an established company, which, I mean, it is, but I could just go get a job and have an every Friday paycheck and not have to worry about it.
For sure.
But that's no fun.
Yeah.
You know, I get to wake up in the morning. I get to do, like, we get to go do fun stuff. Like, we get to go work on videos for, you know, big corporations, and not just boring videos. We get to have fun with them. We get to introduce comedy into, you know, videos for billion-dollar companies. We get to go...
Maybe not billion-dollar companies.
I think.
Who do we have that's a
I think
billion-dollar
Home Depot's a
company?
billion-dollar company.
yeah, that's
Correct
what-
me if
I
I'm
know, but
wrong.
we do it for Clopay. We don't do it for
But
Home Depot.
But
they're the
part of-
ones that we're making a video for a billion-dollar company, because that's who the video is for,
I-
and they're the ones that pay the check.
I guess in the chain of command, ultimately, like yes. But like who we immediately deal with, is sort of Home Depot.
Clopay still is a billion-dollar company.
No, they're not.
I guarantee you.
No, there's no way.
They have to be
We
up
went
there.
to
They
their
have to be up
offices,
there.
dude. Do you think those? Like,
No,
they have
but
lovely offices.
That's one of like 16 offices.
Yeah, no, I think they're a billion-dollar company.
I think we should ask them for their tax returns.
Okay, I agree.
Anyway,
I
back to what
think
was saying.
yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, even though that happens, but yeah, you know, at the end of the day, you know, that's no fun. Like, we get to wake up and we get to go on a schedule that we determine. We get to go hang out with the Atlanta Police Department. We get to go hang out with, like,
That was a cool day.
the chief of police of the Atlanta Police Department. We get to make videos for multi-million-dollar companies. We get to go hang out with rappers and make, you know, rappers running down a schedule of a story that we've come up with. Like, to see those creative dreams pan out, that is worlds more rewarding to me than the security of an every Friday paycheck. Like,
Yeah,
you know, it's not for everybody. Some people wouldn't like it that way.
yeah. Let me go.
I'm down with it.
I'll say this though too, like, if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're happy with it, that is perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
So I'll say something in our like in like today's society now, especially you got like the Andrew Tates, like the people like
Yeah.
that, the like
What?
Anyway, we won't get into that, but what they preach is this, like, you have to hustle, own 18 businesses, and if that's not for you, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
God does not call everyone to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. Not everyone has to own a clothing company. Not everyone has to do stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
Bars.
if you feel called, or you feel like you can do that, like, follow your dreams. I mean, most people who are listening to this podcast, more than likely, you're 25 to 14 or a teenage years. You are a young person, and so you have time. Some of you are single. I have the gift of singleness. I'm not saying that if you're in a relationship that's wrong. I'm just saying I have a wonderful gift to where I can use my talents and abilities more effectively. Maybe because
You can
there's
move
not-
faster. Like,
Exactly.
that's just biblical.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, I don't know. Just be grateful in the time you're at, and if you work a 9-to-5 job, like, none of us are mad at you. We're just saying
Yeah,
that
like,
just
that's for you. That's
yeah,
for you.
exactly. I mean,
I love this guy. I love this guy.
Like, no shade if that's your thing. Like, if
Facts.
that's your thing, that's your thing. Go crazy.
yeah.
But, you know, you gotta find your thing.
Not.
So, in an effort to wrap this up, let's get some nice hot takes going.
Yeah,
All right.
this is our new segment, Hot Takes.
Amen.
New segment, hot takes. All right.
Yeah. Primarily focused on music. For
Shoulders
our
are
current
hotter than
guest.
feet.
Oh, absolutely. We've discussed this.
Wait, shoulders are hotter than feet.
Yes.
That was a joke. We're not going into
It's
this on
true.
this
Oh, I was gonna
It's
say.
true.
I was
So-
ready to debate.
No. So, let's hit some hot takes. What do we want to hit? I just know this is going to be interesting, whether we're debating flavors of a food or music or whatever. It's going to be good.
Okay.
All right, I don't have listeners to the podcast will find out that I'm not very musically knowledgeable. I have weird, obscure taste in music.
It's okay.
Yeah, but a music hot take I do have that anyone can interact with. Chance the Rapper, completely overrated.
No, I can't agree with that.
I
can't.
I've like maybe like one or two songs.
He dropped the
I'll
coloring
rock
book and
with.
acid rap. That's
I
mean,
don't think Coloring Book is that good.
the coloring book is outstanding.
I know, and people are like, it's one of the all-time greats, and I'm sorry,
Now,
All right.
I don't see it
All
that
right.
way.
I'll weigh in a little bit. I'm in the middle here.
Okay.
I don't think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I also don't think he's the worst. I don't necessarily know if he's overrated.
I think he's
ultimately
overrated.
the whole overrated, underrated, it's an entirely subjective conversation.
These are all subjective, Dalton.
I know. I'm just saying, I don't So I don't want to dive into the is he overrated.
Hot take:
is he
2
not.
plus 2 is 8.
He's not my favorite, but he's also not my least favorite. You know, and that's where he makes some cool stuff.
I don't know if I'd put him as my least favorite, but I never listened to Chance the Rapper. I just
He fell off so hard, man.
he did,
He fell off like I don't even know. He fell off hard.
but even like at his peak,
There's a few.
like
There's some
that's
bangers.
when I
Well,
just
at his peak, he was a great artist. Are you denying the fact that at Chance's peak, he was not a good artist?
I'm I'm always careful to say, as a creative, could I do what he does / did? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
In the pantheon of people who do what he does, I just didn't think he was that special in like what he was producing.
what?
Like I thought the whole putting the gospel choir on it is something that lots of people do.
Yeah.
Like subject matter. Like I was more interested in his life story.
Kanye does it better.
Holy W.
Honest, I think so.
So
Actually,
we'll agree to disagree on the hot take.
all right, excellent,
Yes.
excellent.
Yes.
So next hot take.
Yeah.
Mullets coming back. How we feeling?
No.
So,
no.
Yes!
Absolutely
Yes!
not.
So
No, mullets. W.
let me explain.
Mullets.
I'm in the W. I'm in the middle kind of sort of. I'll take that back. I'm not in the W phase. I think that mullets look good on certain people.
Okay.
The problem is they don't look good on around 90% of the population.
Okay, but here's the problem with that: is that only certain kind of people grow mullets, and it doesn't work for them.
Yeah. Also, I think you have to be incredibly attractive to pull off a mullet, and you have to be like have a six pack and like a chiseled abs, like a jawline.
And we're not just talking long hair, okay? Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, mullets?
Like Billy Ray Cyrus in the 90s.
Absolutely not.
I'm dead serious. I think mullets only look good if they're curled.
Yeah. I agree.
Anytime I see a mullet, I want to grab the nearest razor and just go to town on their
I
scalp.
agree.
no.
I think mullets are some of the worst hairstyles a man can have.
Yeah.
Like, I think it works. My thing with it is, all right, it works, but it's got to work. It's got to work or it doesn't work. All right, so what I mean by that is, let's say you have 10 guys. You put all 10 of them in a mullet.
One mullet? They're all sharing one mullet?
Pause.
They're all wearing a bunch of mullets, all right? And you go down the list. I look at all those guys. There's probably, just ballparking here, there's probably like 2 of them that can actually pull those mullets off. Would I say those mullets are good hair choices for those 2 people? Absolutely. The other 8,
No.
gone.
I've never seen anyone, even people who pull it off like kind of well, that I didn't think you would look better without it. Like
Amen.
even if you're
Amen.
doing
Amen.
okay with
Actually,
it,
Billy Ray
Charlie
Cyrus
wins.
in the 90s.
if you're doing
Charlie
okay,
wins.
yeah.
Charlie wins because every time I see someone with a mullet, I do think this could be significantly better if you had a better hairstyle.
Thank you.
And the only person that could pull it off is Billy Ray Cyrus in the 90s. That's one person out of billions.
I'm
about
willing to accept that.
How do you, like, I can't see anything better that he could have done with his hair.
Yes, but that's like the only person out of billions of people who can pull it off. So I think on that hot take, we'll settle it there that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So
Excellent.
I had one. You had one.
Yeah, Eli.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I have,
Hit us with one.
guys, I'll let you know, I have some incredibly hot takes that I will not mention on this podcast because they're way too debatable. But
Juice WRLD is mid.
Blasphemy.
R.I.P. How dare
Blasphemy.
you?
blasphemy.
Nah, we.
All right.
I
Don't you dare
I don't
speak
think.
ill of the dead.
I don't think Juice is mid at all. But he just acts like Juice
All right.
WRLD is the greatest.
What you
creator.
got? What you
All
got,
right.
Eli?
This is more on the aspect of life and relationships.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Here we go. This is
Each hot take is leveled up.
Yeah, this is level. All right.
Yeah.
I may get flamed for this. I probably will end up posting this on social media.
The views of Eli Pixler do not necessarily reflect the views of
Yes.
Nerd with a Camera Productions.
Yes, amen.
Yeah.
Christian dating is one of the most overrated things that has ever happened in society, and let me explain. Now, let me hear myself out.
I think we're gonna
Hear
be on
myself out.
board with you.
Hear
on
my-
this.
hear
What do you
my-
mean by
like,
that?
So, yeah, okay. Christian, I'm like, yeah, you're like, what in the world? Like, is worldly dating not bad? Here's what I'm saying about Christian dating. In our society today, dating as a Christian it's way too much emphasis on your life as a whole. In
Yeah.
a sense, it's like if you're not dating as a Christian person, then you're behind in life if you're not married in your early 20s.
Yeah.
And I think that's the exact opposite of what God designed it for, or however God designed you. I'll take it back. Not the exact opposite, but like God didn't design you necessarily for everyone to get married in their 20s. And what I'm saying is, it's just like as a Christian, it's like so much of your life is put on an emphasis. People care about it too much. Like, why wouldn't you ask me like about my life? Does it have to be, or do you have a girlfriend yet? Like, does that really matter? You know what I'm saying? That's not my personality. That doesn't complete me.
Well, and it's interesting that people boil it down to it so simply, because like dating is not like necessarily a biblical concept. And what I mean by that is not that I'm not telling you to just like get engaged without getting dating, but I'm saying people back then, there wasn't much dating happening. There was more of that.
On God.
So I'm not saying bring that back.
Yeah.
But like
Bring back arranged marriage.
that's
Facts.
no.
I need to marry a 10, so we need to bring back those arranged marriages. You know
I
what
need
I'm
to get
saying?
arranged to a 10. No, so it's so much more difficult than like, so you're not gonna get any feedback from us on that. I think we're all gonna gonna share in that.
I just think like, and also people just like talk about it way too much. Like I just like having good life conversations and not talking about who likes who. Like, are we in middle school? You know what I'm saying? Like that really doesn't matter. If you like someone, if you like someone, let's break it down. If you like someone, you think they're cute, talk to them, shoot your shot. If you miss, we do not care. Move on with your life.
Yeah.
And just be the person God designed you to be. That's all life is. And you have to find one woman. So if you're talking to 30 women, you're honestly wasting your time as a human being.
Well, and then you're like, you're not really fairly talking to any of them, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I feel like you could do a whole podcast on this, but like, I'm trying to keep this very brief because I know we're going to wrap up in a minute here. But like that whole concept, like I think maybe not can be traced back, but was certainly raised to new levels with the I Kissed Dating Goodbye book.
Yes.
And everything like that. Which I think just perfectly encapsulate everything that's wrong with that point of view. Because that dude, like, fell off. Like he totally regretted writing that book. And then he left the faith later. Like, why is that still, like, perked up as a good model when it's, like, the perpetrator of it completely
fell off,
descended downhill?
All I'm going to say is, on the whole, you don't have to be married in your 20s thing. I agree. And you know what? We need some more love for those people that are approaching their 30s that have no one. There are a few
we
10s.
have the same image in our head.
There are a few 10s in my mind right now.
Yeah.
That get no play. And it's time for them to get taken off the bench. Cut the stereotypes. Shoot me a DM. I'll give you their phone numbers. But
that's like the opposite of everything we just said.
Pause.
Everything we just said was
Me and Charlie, and then Dalton's like, yo.
But actually,
you want their number though? You want their number?
Yeah.
Like,
but no. What I'm saying though is like your success and how you are in life. Like it shouldn't be reliant on if you have someone or not. If you're married by a certain age, whatever. It's like no. It's how you are as a person, where you are, like if it's what you're called to. Some people are just genuinely called to singleness. Like no jokes or like passive aggressive. No, some people are just called to that. And like I think for a lot of those people, because I have a lot of friends that are approaching their 30s that just don't have anybody on their radar. And some of them are miserable about it, and it controls their life because of the things that are around them. And then some of them, it does not phase them.
Doing great, yeah.
Some of them, it's not phasing them at all. And I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and he was literally like, yeah, no, if I can just do, like, he gave me a couple, like, creative things on his bucket list. And he's like, if I can just do these 3 things, like, I'm good to die at that point. As long as, like, I'm cool as a human being if I can do these things.
I'm concerned with that particular person of how cool he is with dying at that point. We want him around for a very long time.
That's true.
And I know what 3 things you're talking about because he texted me that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. But, like, there are people that are perfectly content with it. And it all has to do with, like, your mindset on it, which I think is awesome that people can have a mindset that's like, dude, yeah, no, completely unfazed. Because, like, in the times that I was, like, concerned with being single, I was really it's probably about a year and a half time that I was single, and it drove me insane that I was single. I hated that. I was like, I need someone so that I can have other people's approval. Like, it was wild. And so I honestly don't like my brain, I wouldn't be that okay with it. It would take a lot for my brain to shift to I'm okay with being not in a relationship right now. Like, my brain never got a chance to really come to terms with that, just because of the way that like my life kind of went. So I have an absurd amount of respect to people that are in later points of their life that like they're just living and they're balling and like they don't need nobody. And I'm like, dude, respect to you.
Yeah. I think, and the last thing I'll leave off with, I think we're about to wrap up, but last thing I'll wrap up with is, if you are in your 20s and you are married to a person that God has called you to be,
fantastic.
Glory to God.
Excellent.
I am not hating on you. We're simply stating
that
I don't know. I go to a Christian college, so the ring by spring thing is actually a thing. And so it's just the expectation. You shouldn't have an expectation on you socially to like get married.
Yeah.
It should just be, whatever. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so.
Yeah. And, regardless of your opinions on any of this stuff or any of the things that we've talked about, if you've made it this far in the episode.
Yeah. If you have a different opinion, then you're wrong. No.
If you've made it this far in the episode, that must mean you're either entertained, you're learning, or you've got something down bad for one of these two, because I'm off the market. So if you're interested in either of these two,
no, we're not plugging ourselves.
Look, no, when we said we were gonna do this, Dalton was like, "I just want you to know one of my main goals is to get you married off the podcast."
Hey, I'll let you.
Dalton's part of the problem.
What? I'm on here one time. I'll let you know.
Their social medias will be below.
You'll be back. You'll be back.
To all the girls who are watching, if you love American rapper and artist Kanye West, and you love the college football team as the Auburn Tigers, you dress like a urban street style, you are between the height of 5'5" and 5'7", and you are Latina, hit me up. There we go.
Eli, thanks for joining us on the podcast this week.
I think that'll be it for this week.
We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts there, Dalton? Thank you guys for watching Nerds with a Creative Podcast, the only podcast less informative than your uncle's Facebook page. Goodbye, everybody.